again, don't know what this is. Let me scoot my boot. There we go. Welcome to, was that what I was saying? Welcome to week 11 of the series, the every Sunday until the end of the semester, throughout the semester thing, where I talk about my class and I basically record and review my experience. Hair flip. So, week 11 and week 12 starts tomorrow. I just have to get to week 14 if I can survive, if I can stay alive, and hopefully thrive in the class. Just a little bit longer. Please. Please, please, please. Okay. So, right. Apologies. Sorry in advance. I know it's going to happen. It's a loud house today. It's also a loud backyard today. We got grandkids. It's a crazy Sunday. And we have this thing, our church, and a family rule where we don't swim on Sunday, and we don't do really any hard work, or really work in general, like exertion, if I pronounce that right. I know that word, I promise. But anyway, my brother is actually moving, and the boys in the family, they're gonna help out with that. So, here I am, doing this, and I'm gonna have a chill day myself, also help my mom with the kids. Don't know why I said all that, but okay. So week 11. So because of it being the 4th during week 11 of school, is that how you say it? Anyway, the due dates were a little weird. So the Tuesday due date, like every week, it was the same. But then Thursday and Saturday was different. So instead of Thursday, things were moved to Friday. And then Saturday, things that would have been due, they were pushed, I guess, forward, not back, a day. Is that how you say that? I just don't know how to say anything today. But okay. So, the first assignment for the week involved finding and evaluating sources. And this is involving and regarding the final, the third paper / analysis, which is the research paper. So, I have Google Scholar, did I say Google? Google Scholar, ProQuest, JSTOR, JSTOR, I think, and then McKay Library. So that is that. Those are just the sources that I'm going to be using. I may or may not be adding more, probably going to add more, I would say. And let's move on to summary and paraphrase. This was a quiz. So basically 2 paragraphs. One is a summary from your research paper. The other is the paraphrase from your research paper. And we had watched, well, we as in me and hopefully other students did the assignment as well, because it helps them to prepare for the paper. And the thing is, it's really hot outside and inside, even though we have the cool air and AC on. But it's a tradition, it's a thing for this series every Sunday as I review and go over with you guys this class. I have to wear sweats and a sweater, and this is the sweater of choice, and this is the casual every Sabbath day sweats that I've been wearing. And you got a baby crying. I'm sad. So I'm sweating bullets, kind of. Really gross, I'm sorry. And I'm in my sweats, and I'm in a sweater, so. Anyway, so provide an example of summary from your research paper, ... and my book, the book that I'm researching, reading, dissecting, whatever, it is The Magnificent Ambersons. Very interesting book. I'm not quite finished, but I find it an interesting story. There's drama, financial problems, wealth, and lack of wealth, and there's romance thrown in there, relationships thrown in there, and how those two things are tied together. And that's really what my paper is all about. I'm trying to look at the relationship between George, who is essentially kind of the main character, his relationship with this girl of his dreams. He's in love with someone, yet he doesn't really show that love because he doesn't really seem to care about his life or his future or being prosperous and productive and making something of himself. So, the summary. The Magnificent Ambersons tells a story tangled with wealth and relationships. The story follows George Amberson, a son to wealth and status, until that wealth and status dwindles until it almost vanishes completely. And as I was rereading this, of course, after I submitted it, oops, I realized that in one single sentence I used the word until twice. Oops. So George falls in love with a girl named Lucy. She is a free spirit personality, but she is smart and mature enough to know that life needs order and organization. And this includes her belief in George having and maintaining an occupation, something that George doesn't seem the least bit interested, though he is very much interested in Lucy. The two have a unique and strained relationship until they finally part ways, only to come together again in reconciliation in the end. All the while and all throughout the story, George disapproves of his mother's reciprocated feelings for an old love of hers. He wants love with someone too flighty in love to accept marriage. He does not want love for someone who gave it up in embarrassment. All throughout the story, George faces a battle in wealth and relationships. Now, paraphrase. Provide an example of paraphrase from your research paper. And these two things are similar. Summary. I was going to say summer, but that's not right. Anyway, that and paraphrase, they're very close together. You just have to be careful not to combine them, to have them each individual and bold and obvious. So there is a correlation there, but they are different enough to where it's important to define them individually. So, paraphrase. George's mother, Isabel Amberson, comes to George's door one night to speak with him. She had a specific concern and question in mind for their conversation. She told George that she just wished that he would tell her why he didn't like Eugene, the man that she, Isabel, I'm saying her name really weird, Isabel Amberson, had seemingly always loved. Excuse me. To that, George simply says, "Oh, I like him well enough," in his place, from chapter 20. George often speaks in sarcasm, and in conversations with his mother it is usually this way. In this particular conversation, it is brought up that it is difficult for a man to fall for someone's daughter when he does not feel very pleasantly toward her father, again chapter 20. This is George's situation with the girl he loves, and it involves her father, a man who George's mother loves. So with summary, it's more your words, your take. You are basically trying to create a storyline in your head from the story, like you're inspired by it. If that kind of sort of makes sense, like you don't want to do word for word, you don't want to copy and paste, you don't want to use the exact wording as them, but paraphrase, you can more include quotes, and you are describing the story, a particular event within the novel, book, whatever it is, and you're using your own words in there. So they are similar, and it can be confusing. And I hope that that is a somewhat good example. So, just moving on. So we did sources, we did summary and paraphrase, and then annotated biography. That's just a works cited page, and I added 2 in addition to the 5 original sources and works cited that I had previously come up with. So I added 2 more, and I just looked at the MLA format to hopefully correctly, I'll have to review this again, but just make that works cited page accurate, just the format of it. So you want the name, you want the title, you want things in italicized, you want things in quotations, you want websites, you want links, you want to say at the end, accessed whatever date you found that information. Now, survey for week 11, and I don't know why I exactly keep these surveys like this, Rate My Professor, not the website, but just in your own way, you do essentially rate your professor every so often, every few weeks. So this is for week 11. So greatest strength, and then something my instructor could improve upon. So my instructor's greatest strength is her enthusiasm in and throughout this course. She wants her students to love writing more, and it is contagious and makes me enjoy writing more. And then I think that my instructor could improve in one particular area. Sometimes I feel that her answers, comments, and replies are a little confusing. I want to know what I did wrong, and I think that if she used more examples, I would be able to learn more efficiently and effectively. although I find her comments still helpful. I just think it would help even more if she were to use more specific examples. So it's kind of sort of funny. She'll say in her responses to my assignments and the things that I work so hard on, she'll say to not be so broad, but yet her responses, they are broad. They're not specific enough. She doesn't necessarily tell me what to work on. She doesn't really give examples, so that's kind of hard. And so the research analysis, the first paragraph of the 3 that I have so far, that one was what I read to you. That was the summary and paraphrase. So that was talking about the battle in wealth and relationships. And then the next one was also from summary and paraphrase. That was the paraphrase, the example of paraphrase from my research paper. And it's funny because the summary and paraphrase quiz, those 2 paragraphs, summary and paraphrase, they came before the draft 1, where you do 2 to 3 pages. So I just decided to use those same things. Technically it was flipped, which is weird because the due dates weren't in order. So the summary and paraphrase was first, and then the draft 1 came after that assignment when it should have been flopped. So I'm not sure. And then the 3rd paragraph, which makes it 2 pages, this assignment for draft 1. It just goes like this. How does wealth and status interrupt and compete with George's feelings for and relationship with Lucy? And I'll just interject and interrupt myself. So, looks like the boys are leaving. So anyway, with that, my teacher's response, and by the way, I finally looked at my teacher's response. Weeks after that was submitted and after that was graded, I finally reviewed her response to my previous paper. And again, I just have a problem with analysis. I feel like not being specific enough. Like my teacher said, she wasn't too harsh, and she didn't seem to be all PO'd that I didn't really change my draft as much, and I basically tweaked like a sentence or 2, if that, to transform my rough draft to my final. But I think it was okay. So I just was inspired by this one comment in an email where she said, maybe you want to look at the relationship between George and Lucy and how wealth essentially interrupts it. She didn't use that word, but I did. So how does wealth and status interrupt and compete with George's feelings for and relationship with Lucy? Lucy was having a conversation with George when she said the words, I don't ever seem to be thinking about what's happening at the present moment. I'm always looking forward to something, thinking about things that will happen when I'm older, from chapter 7. And again from chapter 7. To this, George's simple and gentle, as the text says, response is, you're a funny girl. Lucy may be a free spirit and maybe at times very carefree, but she has a maturity within herself that tells her to plan and prepare, to be organized in life, to plan out her life. She wishes that George would do the same, because he's both not willing nor wanting to decide on and act on a solid, secure, stable occupation aside from his family's inheritance, parentheses, which dwindles into essentially nothingness. He and Lucy are at constant odds with one another throughout the story. So that's what I have so far. I don't know if I'm going to tweak those 3 paragraphs. Probably will. I might be changing the order. Again, probably will. But there's that. So we did annotated biography. We did research analysis draft 1. Now evidence and organization draft. So I just, for this assignment, I asked 2 questions like the assignment said to do. Just asking my teacher specifically about my paper, how I can hopefully get some inspiration from her. So then at the bottom, after those 2 questions, question 1, question 2, I was told in the assignment to copy and paste in Word, just one of the 3 paragraphs, or in my case, one of the 3 paragraphs that I came up with, and I just did the last one that I read to you, which was about chapter 7. Okay, so I've been questioning my question and rereading suggestions that came from both you as teacher and also from fellow students through peer review, ... I'm hoping that this is a stronger and more specific question to ask and focus on throughout my paper. Do you think that this is a good question to have my paper on? Thanks! Exclamation. Question 2. Also, I'm thinking that I'll have several examples that stem off of the question / focus like I used for this introduction sentence to this paragraph, ... I hope to find a good balance and happy medium between not too specific and not too broad either. Do you as teacher think that it would be wise to keep my vision for this paper and these examples and the overall research narrow and specific? Or is there room to branch out a little bit and stray from the path of just one idea? Thank you! Exclamation. So that was that. I thought this video would be longer, and I honestly and truly did think, in fact, that there would be more assignments to review and talk about, but I don't mind. It's more brief, and I don't think you mind either. It's probably 15 minutes. Again, I'm just scooting my boot. Okay, nice. So, and this is a very awkward angle. I always find myself doing this, even though I rewatch these clips and I see how awkward I look right now, for example. But I do it anyway. It's just comfortable. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of this sweater, change out of these sweats, and yeah. Happy Sunday, and I hope that you're happy, and I hope that, you know, your future is bright, and that today can be a happy day. And this is getting all deep and weird, but I just hope that you know life is good, and that you should do you should be yourself, you should find yourself, and that if you're a student, you can do it. And if you're not, that you can always learn and grow and expand your mind and work on yourself and become more knowledgeable in different areas, that you can just do some self-discovery through learning and growing and obtaining knowledge, and it's important to go look for knowledge. I think that's very important. I personally don't like being a student. I get anxiety, I don't feel very confident or good about myself when it comes to school and homework and assignments and tests and grades and all that. But I believe that I can do it. I don't need to be an A+ student. I don't need to be the best in the classroom. I just have to be true to myself and know that all I can do is my best. And that goes for you. That's the same thing. It's just all you can do is your best. In whatever you do in life, with work, school, family, friends, yourself, your hobbies, your interests, the things you do and don't like, your personality, just all you can do is your best. And now I'm gonna get going. Okay, thank you.